This is the final video between Eric Mack and myself this season, so you better listen up. Hi guys, Lauren Shehadi, E-Mac.
Why are you so excited about that?
Here, I'm not excited. Here at CBS Sports, he's got you covered, halfway at least.
I got a little angry at her.
E-Mac, let's talk about aces. A lot of aces on the two-start pitchers report this week. It's kind of critical in the final week, right?
Yeah, it's good to have your best starters going. That's how teams lined it up for the final week. However, what happens every year in the final week of the season, certain teams clinch. They take their ace out of the final day or the second to the last day of the season to set them up for the postseason. But what you do in fantasy is you can't do anything, really. You got to start these guys. These are your aces, the Johan Santanas, the Josh Beckett's. But once those teams clinch, if they clinch, those guys won't be making two starts.
All right. Well,
That's very unfortunate.
Well, the Brewers have had a tough time. Their new manager, CC, loses, which rarely happens. Then they got the win, but Ben Sheets goes out yesterday in the second inning. What did fantasy owners do with him?
Well, Ben Sheets had a twinge in his forearm. It's not a good thing. If this was July, Ben Sheets would be put on the 15-day DL immediately. Now, also, if he wasn't going to be a free agent after the season and he was going to be a long-term guy in their organization without having to pay him huge dollars, they'll probably would shut him down until the postseason anyway. But now because they need to win, they need Ben Sheets, and he's going into free agency, I think they're going to make him go out there, make him tell them, I can't pitch this week, like he did this last week. So Ben Sheets is probably going to pitch, but it could be the situation you had this week where he goes 2 innings and does nothing for you. Okay. So I would take a risk on him in deeper leagues, but if you got a decent option as a 2-star guy or even a 1-star guy, you might want to sit Ben Sheets just so you don't take the goose egg.
Is Freddy Garcia a nice option? A nice return on Wednesday. We trust him, right?
Well, I wouldn't trust him because he's only reaching 90 miles an hour. If you watch Pedro Martinez try to pitch as a junk ball specialist at this stage in his career, major shoulder surgery is devastating for pitchers, and if they can't get up to their normal velocity, a guy who can't go over 90 miles an hour is troublesome. Also, Garcia only hit 59 pitches in his first start. He did make it through 5 innings, long enough to get a victory in for a team that scored 16 runs for him in just 5 innings. But I don't know if you're going to get that kind of support next time. I'm pretty sure you won't. And I don't think he's going to go past 60, 70 pitches. I don't think that makes him will keep him in the game long enough, especially if his stuff is not over 90 miles an hour. He could get hit.
Well, this is the Fantasy Pitchers Planner, otherwise known as the David Price Show. No? 26 weeks talking about David Price, maybe 2 starts for him?
Someday he's going to just impress, and I'm going to be like, wow, see, I told you so about this guy.
Stand by, as we say.
David Price is currently tentatively slated, to be the 6th starter for the Rays in the final week of the season. They have a doubleheader against the Orioles. That's an outstanding matchup for a guy in his debut. Looked pretty good. It wasn't like a Max Scherzer debut, but it was pretty solid for a team that's a top contender, can score runs and make him a winner in that 1 start. He might even get 2 starts because that doubleheader is on Tuesday, and that final day of the season that I was talking about earlier, with the Rays probably having clinched something before that final day, they might just sit Edwin Jackson down and let Price go, get 2 looks at David Price before the end of the season. You might actually get 2 starts out of David Price.
Even with 1 start, a decent option, right?
Right, because that's the Orioles team that's just sunk.
All right.
Well, Your Baltimore Orioles.
I don't want to talk about that.
She's going to get a pug named Ripken. I don't even know what that means, but that's what she keeps telling me.
Enough. We're done. We're not done. Stay tuned. On the other side, there's more. Welcome back, guys, to the show. We're talking Ricky Nolasco, 4th consecutive win for him, looking real sharp on the hill.
He was one of the ones that earlier on this show this season, someone wanted to shut him down because he thought the Marlins would shut him down, but he's full go, and I think if you look at his matchups next week, he can be a big winner for you. Cincinnati, that's a good matchup. And the Marlins knocked the Mets out in the final series last year, and they're going to run Ricky Nolasco out against the Mets at New York in the final game at Shea Stadium, perhaps. So Ricky Nolasco is a good start. And then Tim Wakefield, he's one of those guys I had as a 2-start sleeper just about every other week this season, but he got beat up by the Rays in his last start, and then he's facing Cliff Lee in that first matchup versus the Indians. Cliff Lee's going for a Cy Young Award. Tim Wakefield probably going to lose that matchup. And then the Yankees, that's a tough matchup also. So I think Wakefield, although he was a sleeper for most of the season, a contending team that can get him wins, I don't think you can trust Tim Wakefield.
He got taken to pasture on Wednesday night. All right, 2-start sleepers, Edwin Jackson. Here's my question with him. Are the Rays going to stop him or push him?
Well, he struggled in his last start, but I think he will start twice because he's not one of the top 3 starters for the Rays. That final start, though, was one that I thought maybe David Price would be making, and that would only be good news because that means Edwin Jackson has 1 start, a favorable matchup at Baltimore, and they won't have to start against the tough Tigers. And then Jonathan Neese, he was outstanding in his second start, 8 shutout innings, and then the Mets are finally slotting him again against the Cubs. The Cubs could have clinched by then, so Neese could have a favorable matchup there, and then they have to beat the Marlins in that final week. They got a lot of revenge going on with the Marlins knocking them out last year, so Neese will be one of the 5 starters making 2 starts in that last week.
We got through it only with one more tear of the paper. You want any more?
This is it. I am
done.
This
is for you. All right, good luck, guys. We will see you next year.